Welcome back to Rank and File Sports, where we are grading every single NFL draft class based on three categories. First of all, we're going to grade based off of whether or not the team drafted the players that fit their needs for next season, as well as the overall talent that they got, just assessing the draft class as a whole. And then finally, the value. Is each player worth where they were drafted at? Were they a steal at that position, or did the team maybe reach a little bit and not get as good a value as they could have if they had traded the pick? And then after that, we're going to go ahead and give them an overall grade. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video.
One of the most explosive teams last year, the Washington Commanders, had draft needs of an edge rusher, a safety, a corner, a wide receiver, and a running back. But in the first round, they took Josh Conerly Jr., an offensive tackle from Oregon. While not a team need, he is one of the best offensive tackles in the draft, obviously, because he went in the first round and now gets to learn from one of the best offensive tackles to do it in Laremy Tunsil, who the Commanders acquired in a trade from the Texans.
Yeah, I think while it's not necessarily a team need right now, this was definitely a very forward-thinking pick from the Commanders. Both of their tackles are over 30 years old now, and getting a young guy like Connerly is a really good move, especially to let him develop a little bit. I think he'll be a really solid guy to protect that left tackle side for Jaden Daniels in the future. And then their second round pick, also Trey Amos. This was incredible value, in my opinion. I think Amos is definitely one of the better corners in this draft. And to get him almost at the end of the second round, and also to address a team need with that it was a super great pick by the Commanders there.
Yeah, and kind of the same thing with the Josh Connerly pick. He gets to learn from Marshawn Lattimore, who currently, while getting a little older, is still one of the better corners in the league, especially after drafting Mike Sainristil last year. This is going to be a new young corner secondary core for this Commanders team. They didn't have a third round pick, but in the fourth round, they did get Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech to address the wide receiver need. While they do still have Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, and Noah Brown, this is definitely, once again, a for the future kind of pick because he can definitely be one of their speedy guys that they can have alongside Terry McLaurin, who is obviously their number one wide receiver.
Yeah, and he was also projected to be, an early to mid third rounder. So the fact that they got him towards the end of the fourth round, another really great value pick here for the Commanders. No fifth round pick, but in the sixth round, they got Kane Madrano out of UCLA to fill the linebacker position. Not necessarily a team need, but definitely going to help bolster the secondary a little bit, add some depth, and I think it's really not a bad pick. Still pretty good value for where he was supposed to be drafted at, and overall, I don't really have any complaints with that one.
Yeah, I just think at that point, the value and the talent that was available to them is why they went it with the best available there. Because, like you said, you can't hate the pick because he's just going to be a stud. And then in the seventh round, towards the end, they got Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, running back from Arizona. This did address a need because they've been in a running back committee for the past couple seasons with Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler, both who have some injury concerns. So he could be a late round steal. I mean, if he ends up panning out, this could be a huge pick for the Commanders, considering he only played one game last year before he was denied eligibility. So this could end up panning out for the Commanders in a massive way.
Yeah, it's definitely a risky pick, but I mean, value-wise, if he turns out to be a one of the top running backs in the class, he probably just fell because he wasn't able to play last year. Anyways, as far as addressing team needs go, they did meet three of them. We're going to give them a B minus because I think, the offensive tackle, it's not a need now, but it was definitely a very forward-thinking pick. And I think it's going to pan out very well for the Commanders in the future. Talent-wise, we're going to give them a B as well. I think, Connerly, Amos, Lane, obviously the three top guys they drafted are the three best players, and they're all pretty talented guys. I think they all have a chance to, while not start right away, they'll be pretty high on that depth chart. Hopefully get in and rotate some before, in a few years that job is eventually theirs. Value-wise, they're getting an A. Um, I none of these players were reaches, and all of them were actually pretty great value picks, getting, to draft them later than they were originally expected to go. This was a very solid draft class from the Commanders, and it's going to get a B plus overall.
Yeah, for as good as they were last year when a lot of people weren't really expecting them to be, and giving Jaden Daniels a couple more weapons, a couple more protection, and bolstering that defense, that you couldn't ask for anything more if you're a Commanders fan from this draft, especially with only having those 5 picks, like you were saying. This is an incredible draft class for them.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.